Hi, you guys, and welcome to this week's video on my channel. I'm really excited to talk to you guys how you essentially figure out what the heck you should sell on Fiverr, or in other words, figure out what kind of skills you might have that people are going to pay you money for, exchanging them in return. So doing something for them in return on Fiverr. And also, I want to talk a little bit more in case you guys don't know my backstory. I essentially utilized Fiverr back then when I was still at a corporate job. I was working kind of right out of college at Aon, and I was sort of a business analyst and in operations management. And it felt like a dead end job to me. It felt like I didn't enjoy it at all. And I felt stuck. I remembered how I was having those sinking kind of feelings, almost like depression style feelings while I was sitting in this cubicle underneath the same neon lights that all of a sudden from one week to the next started flickering even, and it took them forever to fix it. It just felt really depressing. It felt like I was looking at, my higher ups, even though they were great people. And I had coworkers also that I really enjoyed and, where we really had fun with together. But I felt like I was at a dead end job. I felt like I just couldn't live like this, right? Like this was not sort of the path for me. And then I also knew I really wanted to be able to be flexible, right? To be able to visit my family, because I was living back then in California and my family was in Europe. All of my family and a lot of my friends also were in other parts of the world, right? I wanted to be able to kind of not always have to ask for, paid time off and all this kind of stuff. I wanted to be able to kind of create something that allowed me a certain kind of luxurious freedom, right? Because we're not talking about millions and millions of dollars, but just simply that being able to have the choice to take time off whenever you want to take it off. Now of course be there for, my kid, and then soon my second kid as well, and be able to choose when I work, with whom I work, and also how much I work maybe, right? Depending on your revenue and income goals. So this is a whole kind of backstory. But if you clicked on this video, then I know you're already kind of taking the first steps towards kind of figuring out how to make a freelancing income on your own, and how this can replace essentially your day job income right now, or how you can essentially be more free by increasing another income stream or adding another income stream to your life already. And you just really want to figure out how to do this the cleanest, the clearest, and the fastest, right? And I'm also gonna presume that you might not, like me, ever had to sell sort of quote unquote yourself again. You don't know what you could even be selling. You're really confused by the process. And there's so many YouTube videos out there as well, by the way, other ones that I checked, where they're just simply, for instance, stating these are the top 10 easy gigs to sell or something like that, or the top gig to make the $500 the fastest, right? However, I really want to preface this video that I don't think that's the right strategy. If you do want to sort of really switch gears in your professional life, in your career, and you want to figure out how to live the quote unquote laptop lifestyle, then you really have to go ahead and think about this more strategically, because otherwise time is a really, really expensive asset for us. It's the most expensive and the most valuable asset that we have. And if you're just kind of doing it to try to kind of make a few bucks online, right? Because someone on YouTube told you, hey, these gigs are great to do that because that's the easiest way to do this. This is how you do it. But essentially you're like, oh, this is boring, or this doesn't line up with anything that you like or want. Then what's the point? Because in essence, you're just buying yourself another job then, right? So let's get started. And I have very detailed notes, by the way, that I took for this video because I wanted to make sure to be as valuable as possible. If I can recommend anything, it would be that you not only go back to this video and you use it kind of as a reference whenever you need to, for, your Fiverr kind of freelancing journey and success, but also go ahead and grab a pen and paper right now, or you have a phone as well where you're taking notes, and just take notes as you're listening to this. Write on the questions that I'm giving you, and more importantly, do the homework, meaning that if I'm giving you these kind of prompts, right, or questions that I'm asking you right now through the screen to you, and you would be sitting right now across from me and we're looking each other face to face, for instance, I would want an answer. I want an answer from you. So it's important that you're able to give me an answer, because otherwise, if you're not kind of also answering these prompts, so either you're just talking it out loud and answering the prompts right now to your room, or you're watching this with a friend, be sure that you answer this. Don't just passively listen to this video, because otherwise you cannot really get the most value from it. And so I think this is really important. That's why I'm doing the YouTube videos. That's why I do what I do, to kind of add value to your guys' life. And on that note, of course, if you've been watching me for a while and you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button down there. And if you're liking the content, of course, after you watch the video, show me those likes, because it really helps this channel out is going to be loved even more by the YouTube algorithm and shown by more in front of more people that can really get value out of it. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, when we're talking about niche, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard this before. You want to kind of really figure out before you're figuring out what gigs you're creating or selling in Fiverr, you want to figure out your niche, meaning you want to figure out the topics or that topic, that industry where you can position yourself the best and where you can really add the most value, right? Some important things to think of is that a niche is sort of something that you can find an intersection of three things, right? And these three things are, and I'm going to blend them in right here, is that things you are passionate about and are good at doing, things the market is looking for and is willing to pay for. And then of course, your Fiverr success niche is found in between those two things, right? So it's kind of like a fluid process. It's not very like linear per se, it is a fluid ongoing process. So first thing that you need to do is you need to jot down or look at things you love doing and are good at, or maybe are planning to become really good at, and you're just kind of like dabbling into them right now, like maybe using Photoshop to edit your Instagram pictures, something like that, right? Because there's really no point doing something you don't love, because if you're your own boss, you want to be your own boss of something that you really kind of like thrive at, and they really feel like, oh, okay, this is really so much better than maybe the job that you're stuck in right now, right? And I can really add something to the world and to people. So the second thing is that you want to shut down and look at things that the market is actually looking for out there. So meaning that what have you heard of online or seen people mention on social media that they are already making money with, right? Maybe they are artists, they're making money in social media through art prints. Maybe they are, social media managers. Maybe they help people write or edit their resumes to get like another job. Maybe it's fitness coaches, whatever it is. So there's so many possibilities, but most of the time you probably can think of like one or two or three things right now that just stuck in your mind because you saw someone, hey, they made money from that, right? Online. And it's like, I can do this too, right? Whatever it is, there's literally so many like things out there. But the fact is that we want to look at something that the market people are already paying for, because if they are not, if it's something that's completely new, you cannot find Google or anything like that. For the sake of this video, that's a topic for another video. For the sake of this video though, it's not really helpful that you're creating or innovating a whole new industry, right? If you are kind of like wanting to get started and you want to see also results fast, you also want to make sure that there's an economic demand there from, of course, the market. So meaning that you have to find a market first and then be sure to sell into this market. We are not talking about creating a market, right? Like I said, that's a topic for a different video. And that's also like a totally different business strategy that's not applicable for Fiverr if you want to really succeed on Fiverr or in freelancing in general, if you're using Upwork or whatever as well. Okay, so passion, I feel like on Fiverr always comes before profit as well, because just across the board, I've seen people just make a whole lot, not just more money, but just more passionate about it, what they're delivering, and just doing a better job, just in essence, because of it. So I want you to go ahead right now and tell me to the air or write down, probably it's much better to write it down, side note, but write down 10 passions that you have, right? And if you're not sure what these could be, I wanted to give you some examples just from, for instance, some examples my students also, if you don't know yet, I also have a course, it's called Fiverr with Focus, where I teach people how to essentially replace their, corporate job income with freelancing on Fiverr within 90 days. And I have so many students that go through this course and have been since 2016 already. And I wanted to give you some ideas of what some people usually write when it comes to that. So for instance, 10 passions are, or maybe also addictions, is that they're always on Instagram or always on TikTok. They really understand the medium, right? They really like enjoy, for instance, creating content, or they're like podcast buff, right? They just kind of really understand and love audio mixing. They are into any kind of like maybe instrument. They have been an actor or actress in the past and just know how to nail voiceovers. They are super into video editing. They love writing. They love online shopping and reviewing products, and creating cookie recipes for the family, and so on. So the list is endless. So just really list 10 passions or addictions that you currently have. So the next thing is that you want to list 10 skills that you already possess, right? And so for instance, if you think about it back, like maybe also in college right now, or anything like that, typically there's something that you've learned for sure that it might be really applicable, right? Or might be really helpful to people. I know like maybe a big one also at my job is I had to learn really to utilize Excel with formulas and all this kind of stuff. And that I noticed was something that like people really like were looking for as well, could help them, because like most people, like maybe that's not something that they learn or want to learn or something like that. Or maybe you took several film editing classes, Final Cut Pro classes, or you were in a filmmaking club in college and you just know how to use the software, right? So when it comes to that, like I want you to write down really practical kind of skills that you possess. And just so you know, we all freaking have them. So a skill can also be you just really master an app, or you can, you know, you're mastering cooking, whatever it might be. Like just write down practical skills that you really have. Okay. Then the next thing is I want you to think even more about some of the skill sets that you possess and that you don't even know about. That could be actually an economic asset of yours and that you can turn into a sellable skill on Fiverr. So let's even dig a little bit deeper. Okay. So now I want you to go ahead and name exactly or specifically or circle them from the list before 3 to 5 programs or softwares or apps that you're very, very good at using. Okay. That's really important. If it's Libsyn, Canva, Pictochart, Final Cut Pro, iMovie, Google Excel, and so on. I'm just giving you ideas here. Photoshop, GitHub, WordPress, ActiveCampaign. If you can code Java or like C++ or whatever it is, write down all these things. The next thing is, what's the one thing you can do or know that people, friends, acquaintances, or so on have mentioned before? Hey, that's really cool that you can do that. And maybe they've even added on that saying that I'd totally pay for it. Just think back to when you did something and they're like, wow, like I wish I could do that. How did you do that? Kind of like that, right? The next, what do you maybe have a degree or certifications in? Write those things down next. The final question in this question bucket, should we call it that, is what skills, projects, or gigs and so on have you again heard people already sell online, in Facebook groups, on forums, or that you yourself have already researched that people are selling on Fiverr for? So I want you to go ahead and write down kind of really specific things. We're not talking about general things anymore. We're talking about specific things. For instance, that person knows how to use Canva to create cool party flyers for kids' birthdays, right? Something that's really specific. Be sure to kind of like get here as specific as you can possibly get. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to examine the market more. And now we're going to go into more detail in terms of like the Fiverr market. So I want you to go ahead and go to the Fiverr webpage, right now, and look at the Fiverr's popular professional services and identify which one might relate to you the most. I want you to, for instance, really go ahead and jot down now the professional services where you feel like you've got some knowledge in or skill, or you're like, okay, this is totally my industry, or this is totally my topic or interest or something like that. So some of the examples that you will see are logo design, WordPress, voiceover acting, video explainer editing, social media, SEO, illustration drawing. And yeah, I wrote them down. And translating languages, data entry, and book cover. So you have so many different, for instance, options there. I want you to go ahead and just like pick one of the very popular professional services right now that are trending on Fiverr. And yes, this changes sometimes, but not like that much. For now, it's just important that you can identify something that is trending. So next, and I told you this was extensive, so drop me a comment down below if you're still with me and if this is valuable to you, because I really want to make sure actually it is. I give you the full list of like the Fiverr's professional services. Now I want you to go ahead and take your time after you, of course, watch this video, still watch until the end. And you got to go ahead and you really click on and dive deep into Fiverr's categories and subcategories, and you see everything that they have. So to give you an example right now, we have graphic design as like a category, and then inside graphic design, and I'm just showing you this here because I wrote this down. This is also, of course, a document, a helpful like add-on document that I have that I'm offering my students inside the Fiverr Focus course. So this, what I'm doing right now is just like a summary of the kind of entire process that I'm taking them through to really make sure that they're getting the results that they're getting, which are, by the way, amazing. And if you want to check it out and you want to grab a free PDF on essentially like my fastest strategy to achieve Fiverr success, then you can click on the link in the description section and you can grab that freebie. It's a freebie essentially of the Fiverr roadmap to achieve Fiverr success the fastest. So here you can see, then we have the subcategories, right? And inside graphic design, there is like literally tens and tens and tens of different subcategories. Then if you go ahead, we got digital marketing. Again, we got so many subcategories like crowdfunding and stuff like that. So when you're going ahead, right, and you're seeing this, then you're going to be able, and I want you to circle, for instance, free subcategories within a category. So pick one category of all of the categories in Fiverr and then circle free subcategories. And yet, yes, I know if you're going through this process so far, most of us, like, we usually find ourselves aligned with 2 or 3 actually categories. But I want you to go ahead to really pick one, because you want to start as niche down sort of as possible, meaning as specific to one solution. Your services should be specific towards one solution or one offer as possible. And then you can branch out later. So we can talk about this in another video, but I think it's just really important to go ahead and then you're choosing 3 of the subcategories within such a category. And now, after you've done this, now you already know, okay, now I'm kind of like my skill sets and my passions and everything like that and what the market wants are kind of aligning within, let's say, these 3 topics, these 3 subcategories. So you go ahead again on Fiverr on the website, you click on the subcategories and you're checking out what people are offering, right? And then make sure you filter it also by, the best selling, for instance, people, best-selling freelancers, and seeing really what they're doing, what they're offering, and for whom specifically they're offering stuff for, or their skill sets for. And then it should really give you a good idea of what your first few gigs are going to be like. And then finally, as a bonus, just really as a bonus exercise, I want you to go ahead and jot down and write down your ideal work freelancing day. What would it look like for you, right? How do you see yourself? Are you working in your pajamas? Do you have a cool home office? Are you sipping on a matcha latte or on a coffee? So latte macchiato, whatever it is, I want you to really go ahead and write it down, because like also kind of envisioning it and getting that mindset down on with pen on paper will help you kind of slowly start to create and to develop and to adopt this new identity, which is going to make this reality happen for you so much faster. So like I said, I hope this video was helpful to you. Show me this thumbs up if it was. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you want more awesome content like this. And I see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Bye.